Friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. Dhanesh here. In the last video, we were discussing about Anova test. In this video, I am going to have a comparison between one-way Anova and two-way Anova. Let's start. This is a quote from Socrates. An unexamined life is not worth living. Let's continue. This is the second video on ANOVA. Let me give a small introduction to bivariant analysis. This is part of exploratory data analysis, EDA. You are familiar with exploratory data analysis. This is a very nice table for you to understand. In bivariant analysis, see, exploratory data analysis is of three types: monovariant, bivariant, and multivariant analysis. In bivariant analysis, the variables, there are two variables. The variables, as you know, it can be numerical or categorical. If both the variables are numerical, we use correlation coefficient. If both the variables are categorical, we use chi-square test. We have separate video on chi-square test and its practical application. It's there, you can watch that video. And if one variable is numerical and another one is categorical, we have t-test, c-test, and ANOVA. All the videos are available in the playlist statistics. You can watch it. See, here in this video, I am going to have a comparison between one-way ANOVA and two-way ANOVA. So this is a quick introduction to ANOVA, or ANOVA stands for analysis of variance. That's ANOVA. An ANOVA test is an easy way to find out whether experiment results are significant or not. In other words, they help us to figure out if you need to reject the null hypothesis or accept the alternate hypothesis. An important point I need to tell you is an ANOVA test is an extension of t-test. T-test works for two groups, but ANOVA works for more than two groups. That's the difference. ANOVA is used to find out the correlation between variables. Simple. ANOVA stands for analysis of variance. Variance, you know, it's a square of standard deviation. Standard deviation is used to find out the spread of data. You know it. ANOVA is introduced by Sir Ronald Fisher. It's very important. This scientist really introduced ANOVA. See, one simple example of ANOVA test is given three group of patients. They are, treated with homeopathy, allopathy, and Ayurveda. So we want to see which methodology is better. Then we can go for ANOVA test like that. So types of ANOVA. ANOVA is of two types: one-way ANOVA and two-way ANOVA. We are getting into the details of one-way ANOVA. A one-way ANOVA is a type of statistical test that compares the variance in the group means within a sample while considering only one independent variable. That is the important thing. In one-way ANOVA, you are familiar with dependent variable and independent variable, right? So in a one-way ANOVA, you have only one independent variable. That's really important. Assumptions: normality. Each sample is taken from a normally distributed population. That means it's from the normal distribution, or we call it as the Gaussian distribution, or we call it as the bell curve, right? So this is the bell curve. So ANOVA test, it forms a normal distribution. Sample independence, that each sample has been drawn independently of the other samples. That's another assumption. Variance equality, that the variance of data in the different groups should be the same. That is another assumption for one-way ANOVA. A two-way ANOVA is designed to assess the interrelations of two independent variables. Very important. Two independent variables. In one-way ANOVA, you have only one independent variable. Two independent variables on a dependent variable. A one-way ANOVA only involves one factor or independent variable, whereas there are two independent variables in a two-way ANOVA. That's the difference. You got the point related to independent variable. You are familiar with dependent variable and independent variable. Fine. See, assumptions for two-way ANOVA is your dependent variable should be continuous. Very important. Your two independent variables should be categorical. That's for two-way ANOVA. The independent variables must be categorical and the dependent variable should be continuous. Sample independence, that each sample has been drawn independently for the other samples. Variance equality, that the variance of data in the different groups should be the same. Normality, they follow the normal distribution or Gaussian distribution or bell curve. Fine. This is a very nice table. You can understand it. This gives you the exact difference. One-way ANOVA. One-way ANOVA is a hypothesis test used to test the equality of three or more population means simultaneously using variance. Two-way ANOVA is a statistical technique wherein the interaction between factors influencing variable can be studied. Here only one independent variable. We already discussed here two independent variable. Compares three or more levels of one factor. Here compares effects of multiple levels of two factors, means two independent variables. Number of observations need not be same in each group. Number of observations need to be equal in each group. Design of experiments needs to satisfy the only two principles. Design of experiments needs to satisfy all three principles. These are all the This is a very interesting table. From this table you can easily understand the difference between one-way ANOVA and two-way ANOVA. Here I am again giving the degrees of freedom for different tests. Degrees of freedom, you are familiar with degrees of freedom. I have a separate video for degrees of freedom in the playlist statistics. You can watch it. If you don't know it, it's an important parameter. Degree of freedom, p-value, significance level, all these parameters are really important from a hypothesis test perspective. So the degrees of freedom for ANOVA, it's given here. You have the degrees of freedom for different tests. It's given. You can learn it if you are interested. ANOVA, for the between groups, it's number of groups minus 1 is the degree of freedom. ANOVA within groups, it's number of subjects minus number of groups minus 1. This is the degrees of freedom. That's also we covered as part of this video. I think that's all. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. Thanks a lot.